Okay, lesson 1.6, find the distance between 2 points in the coordinate plane and find the coordinates of the midpoint of a segment in the coordinate plane. So let's start with our key concepts here. The first formula is the distance formula. The distance between 2 points, A, x1 and y1, and B, x2, y2, is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay. Then we have the midpoint formula. The coordinates of the midpoint M of line AB with endpoints A at x1, y1 and B at x2, y2 are the following. So midpoint is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And you should get a point, so you should have two numbers. So let's put these to work here in our examples. How far is the subway ride from Oak to Symphony? Round to the nearest tenth. Each unit represents 1 mile. So Oak is at coordinates -1, -2, which we got from looking right here, Oak, and it even gave you the coordinates. So we're going to let -1, -2 represent Oak. Then Symphony, up here, you go over 1 up 2, so this is at +1, 2. We're going to let 1, 2 represent Symphony. So now, copy our distance formula down. Square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Alright, so I'm going to let Symphony be 0.2 and Oak be 0.1. So x2 would be 1 minus -1, then 2 minus -2. 1 minus -1 is like 1 plus 1, which is 2 squared. 2 minus -2 is 2 plus 2, which is 4 squared. 2 squared is 4. 4 squared is 16. And if we add 4 plus 16, that would be 20. And we type that in a calculator, we get 4.472135, a bunch of numbers, okay? But it said to round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so we have to round to the tenths place here. 4.47 rounds up to 4.5 miles. So it's a 4.5 mile ride from Oak to Symphony. Alright, let's look at our second example here. Finding midpoint. Line AB has endpoints at 8, 9, and -6, -3. Find the coordinates of its midpoint M. So I'm going to let the point 1 be 8, 9, and point 2 be -6, -3. It doesn't matter if you switch those, as long as you stay consistent. You could have -6, -3 be the first point. It'll be okay. Alright, the midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So we know that the first x coordinate is 8 and -6. 8 plus -6 is 2 over 2, which is 1. And all we did was substitute in 8 for x1 and -6 for x2. Alright, then looking at the y coordinate, y1 is 9, y2 is -3, 9 plus -3 is 6, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. And all we did was substitute in 9 for y1 and -3 for y2. So the coordinates of the midpoint are, the x coordinate is 1, comma, the y is 3. So that would be our midpoint, 1, 3. Okay, finding an endpoint. So this time they're going to tell us the midpoint. We have to find the endpoint. The midpoint of line DG is the M, -1, 5. One endpoint, D, is 1, 4. Find the coordinates of the other endpoint, G. So we're going to use the midpoint formula. And for x1, y1, we're going to use the point 1, 4. And we know that the midpoint is negative 1, 5. So we are solving for x2 and y2. So we know that the midpoint, the x coordinate is negative 1. We know that x1 is 1. Then we know the y coordinate of the midpoint is 5. And we know that y1 is 4. Okay, so first, to make this easier, we're going to multiply both sides by 2 so that we can get rid of our fraction. So if we multiply by 2, we're left with negative 2 equals 1 plus x2. We just multiplied this by 2, those canceled out, multiplied this by 2. Okay, now over here, we're going to multiply by 2 as well. So take this times 2, this times 2, those cancel out. We've got 10 equals 4 plus y2. Then if we just subtract the 1 over to the other side, we get negative 3 is x2. If we subtract the 4 over to the other side, 10 minus 4 is 6 is y2. So this should be a y. Okay, so that leaves us with the point negative 3, 6. So if we know 2 of the points, whether we know the midpoint or both endpoints, we can figure out what the missing point is. Okay, so you are going to try the check for understanding questions. Number 1 says, use the map in example 1 to find the distance between Elm and Symphony. So if we go up here, we're looking at our map. You need to find the distance between Elm, which is down here in the corner, and Symphony, which we used earlier. Okay, that's the first one. Then part B says Maple is located 6 miles west and 2 miles north of City Plaza. Okay, so start at City Plaza. We're going to go 6 miles. Okay, City Plaza is at 0, 0. 6 miles west would be backward 6 and north 2. So it's not actually on the graph over here. So this would be at negative 6, 2 for Maple. Okay, and you're going to find the distance from Cedar to Maple. And Cedar is right here. It's over backwards 3 and up 1. So that'd be 3, or sorry, negative 3, 1. You're going to find the distance. Okay. Number 2 says find the coordinates of the midpoint x, y with the endpoints. X is 2, negative 5, y is 6, 13. So you have x1, y1, and x2, y2. You're going to use the midpoint formula to figure out what the midpoint is. Whoops. y1 plus y2 over 2. Okay, find the midpoint here. It doesn't matter which one you pick to be point 1 or point 2. Then this one says the midpoint of coordinate x, y of the midpoint of line x, y has coordinates 4, negative 6. This is the midpoint. X has coordinates 2, negative 3. So this would be like x1, y1. Find the coordinates of y. So we know that the midpoint is at 4, negative 6. This is not a great picture. Just roll with me here. And we know that x is at 2, negative 3. We need to find out what y is. Okay? So remember how we set up are points in this problem, 3 up here, and that'll help you. Okay, those are the 3 problems. Well, number 1 has 2 parts, but those are the problems I need you to try. If you have questions, come see me. Once you get them, go ahead and start your homework. Show me your answers for the check for understanding so that I know that you're getting it.